Welcome back. I'll be talking about Whitney Houston. To the present moment, there are memes that circulate the internet with a disheveled, obviously drug addicted portrayal of Whitney Houston. These memes are especially disturbing for many reasons. First, Houston has been dead for more than a decade, and people usually try not to speak ill of the dead. Second, most of us currently recognize drug abuse as a disease and not a character defect. Third, other celebrities struggled and died from drug addiction and are treated with more grace. What is it about Whitney Houston that people find it so easy after her death to mock her struggles with addiction? Based on what we know now about Houston's early life, she is deserving of our empathy. Whitney Elizabeth Houston, Nippy to those who were close to her, was born in Newark, New Jersey on August 9th, 1963. She was a second generation in the North, as both her maternal and paternal grandparents were a part of the Great Northern Migration. But racism was alive and well in Newark, New Jersey, and Jersey at large. For example, in July 1967, a black uprising occurred in Newark, New Jersey, which was precipitated by police brutality against two black cab drivers for minor traffic offenses. The uprising resulted in 26 deaths, 700 injuries, and more than 1,400 arrests. In the same year, at the age of 4, Houston's family moved to East Orange, New Jersey, which was a predominantly black town where middle-class and struggling black families lived together. It appears that Houston lived in a big house, but perhaps the family did not quite have the income to maintain it. Houston, in her interview with Diane Sawyer, said, "In our backyard, we had this massive pool, and I would go to the bottom of the pool and I would sing, because it had great acoustics. And at about 7 or 8, I knew I could really sing, but I wouldn't tell anybody." The lack of a well-maintained pool was the least of her worries. Her mother, Cissy Houston, was a famous nightclub performer and a recording artist, and her father aspired to be a singer while managing his wife. Houston's parents' work took them away from their children and reportedly exposed both Houston and her brother Gary to an incestuous child abuse by a famous cousin, D.D. Warwick. Gary told the documentarian MacDonald the following, explaining how he became drug addicted. "Being a child, being 7, 8, 9 years old, and being molested by a female family member of mine, my mother and father were gone a lot, so we stayed with a lot of different people, 4 or 5 different families who took care of us." Also, though Whitney did not share the information publicly, her assistant Mary said the following, "Houston looked at me and said, 'Mary, I was molested at a young age too, but it wasn't by a man, it was by a woman.' She had tears in her eyes. She said, 'Mommy don't know the things we went through.' Mary asked her, 'Have you told your mother?' She says, 'No.' Well, Mary said, 'Maybe you need to tell her.' Houston said, 'No, my mother would hurt somebody if I told her who it was.' Houston had tears rolling down her face, and Mary hugged her. Mary said, 'One day, when you get the nerve, you need to tell your mother. It will lift the burden off you.' Experience abuse, child abuse, can be a straight line to drug addiction. Some people attributed Houston's drug addiction to the influence of her husband, Bobby Brown, who had a bad boy image. They married at the height of her career. At the time, her rendition of "I Will Always Love You" was topping the charts everywhere after the movie Bodyguard. However, her brother, Gary, described Houston and his drug use as follows. "We did a lot of drugs every day. Shit that usually kills mother effers, and we kept rocking. And as for Brown's drug intake, Gary said, let's just say Bobby was a effing lightweight when it came to drugs. He could not. We used to pass Bobby by lapping him, trust me. But what people knew from their parents was that Whitney's and Bobby's relationship was toxic. Also, I, like some others, believe part of what led to her drug addiction was being a closeted bisexual who was conflicted with and burdened down by her religious upbringing and her all-female Catholic high school attendance. And then there being in the milieu of intense homophobia that Whitney herself displayed, her family displayed, community and society at large. But documentarian MacDonald indicated that those who knew Whitney described her sexuality as fluid and also reported that she had only one known homosexual relationship, and that was with Robin Crawford. Robin and Houston met when they were teens at the community center in East Orange, New Jersey. Robin was a basketball star who had come home from college, and Houston was in high school. Robin reported that they first used drugs together when they were teens. Robin was able to stop, but not Whitney. Robin indicated that their sexual relationship was brief and ended after Houston signed her contract with Arista. Robin wrote that Whitney came to her apartment after this with a Bible and told her they had to quit having sex because it would make our journey even more difficult. Whitney said that if they found out, because her career was taking off, they'd use it against us. However, both wrote in the Bible that was given to Robin, love unconditionally, and they signed their names. Robin Crawford said, I loved her, and there was nothing I felt was wrong about loving her. And she was loving me for me. I didn't have to do anything. That's where friendship is supposed to be. We were connected, end quote. I don't know about you, but knowing all this about Houston already has me feeling very empathetic towards her. I recalled watching a documentary about her, and after watching it, I watched a video of her singing Home from The Wiz, and my eyes welled up with tears because knowing she never experienced that kind of home and that she was longing for it, knowing that many of us have not experienced that kind of home, but maybe we could have it. So let me read the words, the lyrics of the song Home. When I think of home, I think of a place where there's love overflowing. I wish I was home. I wish I was back there with the things I've been knowing. Wind that makes the tall grass bend into leaning. Suddenly the raindrops that fall have a meaning. Sprinkling the scene makes it all so clean. And maybe there's a chance for me to go back now that I have some direction. And it sure would be nice to be back home where there's love and affection. And just maybe I can convince time to slow up, giving me enough time in my life to grow up. Time, please stay my friend and let me start again. Time didn't stay her friend. She left us at the age of 48. I'm near the end of the video, so I have to at least try to answer my own question. Why, after knowing all we know about her struggles, some of us find it so easy to disrespect her memory? Whitney Houston was the closest thing we came to Black musical royalty. As previously stated, she was the daughter of a famous singer, Cissy Houston, related to the Warwicks, and the goddaughter of the Queen of Soul, Aretha Franklin. At an early age, Houston sang with some of the most the greatest musical geniuses of our country. Houston was the first ever pop diva. She still holds the Guinness Book of Records title for the most awarded female artist of all times, with a whopping 400 awards. She was beautiful and became the first black teen model on the cover of a US teen magazine. At the beginning of her career, she had a pristine, wholesome image. Houston even stated that the reason people kept pushing rumors about her being gay was because she was not sexually promiscuous. Robin and others who knew her well indicated that though many men tried, she had only 3 relationships: with Jermaine Jackson briefly, Eddie Murphy, and her husband Bobby Brown. She had 1 child, Bobby Christina, from her marriage to Brown. In an anti-black world, black women don't get to be queens or live wholesome lives. So when drugs brought her down, people, including some black people who viewed her as not being black enough, rejoiced. And we ensure that long after her death, her image remains tarnished in those derogatory memes. If they can't lynch your body, they will lynch your character. If they can't lynch your character, they'll lynch your image. But as for me, Whitney Houston, I will always love you. And I hope you all love her too. Thanks for listening.